are we all? Just going to set up the other camera. Which is super. Okay, we have our flash on, hopefully that will help. Okie dokie. So we have this lovely tape. So this is just a play. I'm just playing with all of the, what are they? Different shapes. So I've been doing, kind of trying to do one a day. And I might try to do a more of a portrait style one. So I think I mentioned yesterday that this particular paper seems a lot more smooth than the previous paper. And so that kind of dictates a lot of what the picture looks like in the end. A little bit of that up. I have my 2 things of water ready to go. And that should be fine for the moment. Just put my tape over here. So hopefully you can see it just a little bit. Just do a light wash first, rinse off the brush, and I'm going to go in with some paper, this paper towel. I'm just going to take some of that out just to create some cloud shapes. And then with a little bit of blue, again, I'm just going to put in some darker shadows, I guess, because clouds have shadows too. So I'm trying to mix it up between like the soft shapes and the kind of blended out shapes a little bit. I mean, that didn't make sense, did it? Between the hard edges and the soft edges, because if you look at clouds too, they also have hard and soft edges. So when they have hard and soft edges, and that kind of gives it more of a believable, like here, like you can see here, it's a little bit jagged coming down, and but there's soft pillars in there, I guess we can call that. I take a bit more out here. See, the paint's dry quite a lot in that very short time, and so it's not lifting as much, which is fine because it gives like a different element of the cloud. So I was kind of in a rush and I did the cardinal sin and left my brush kind of splayed out. Not happy when I came home and saw that I didn't put it away properly, but that's okay. So if you have paints, get them out. Use this time off to just play with your paint. So I'm just taking paint out. I just rinsed off my brush and I'm taking paint off now to create kind of like a highlighted section at the base of the mountain. I'm a big fan of mountains and lakes, rivers and streams, and so feature them in my work all the time. Rinsing off the brush. At what stage do you put the gold? Right at the end. Always at the end. That way I can kind of dictate where I'm putting it. So I always put the gold at the end. Mixing in some indigo now. Using PB29. So I haven't changed anything color wise except for right now where I've mixed in some indigo, and already I'm not sold on it, to be honest. I don't like how it reacted with the PB29. I should know that. But I didn't. Well. So today I recorded a little bit more of my how to watercolor course. It's coming along nicely. I'm really enjoying it. It's very similar to this kind of style where I talk a lot. But I'm just basically trying to share everything I've learned in 15 years into a digestible kind of set of, it's not worksheets, set of, I'm not sure what even to call them, like tasks. So like basically demonstrate and then encourage you to go and try and like just practice, just do it over and over and over and over again. Oh, thanks for the hearts and the thumbs up. That's cool. I'm not used to streaming on Facebook. I don't usually stream on Facebook either, so I'm doing a double stream here. I've got one on YouTube and one on Facebook. So if you have any questions about my practice, the colors, anything like that, let me know. I'm going in now with what do they call it? Prussian blue. Prussian blue is an interesting one. It's PB27, so I think chemically it's not far off PB29, but it has different properties. It doesn't seem to be as granulating as PB29, but it has like more of the darkness to it. Thank you. Thank you for following along. It has, yeah, more of the dark properties to it than the PB29. So if you're new to watercolor, I've kind of started using the pigment color names instead of the actual names, because depending on the country that you're in, your availability to some brands might not be there. So for the record, I use Winsor and Newton colors, but they're not available absolutely everywhere. And so the pigment colors are kind of like the code, I guess. It's what the color is made of. And then if you have what the color is actually made of, then you're better able to find a closer match in the pigments in your country, like the brands that are available in your country, because the pigment numbers, they should be universal. They should be. Okay. I've got more indigo, and I'm going to go over the top of the Prussian blue and just give it a little bit of a boost. Now, these are just practice. They're practice, 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 and that's the key to anything, because it's the practice is where you make mistakes. I mean, you make mistakes on the big stuff too, but that's where kind of the learning happens, like what works. You're able to get a feel for the amount of water in your brush. You're able to get a feel for how the colors kind of interact with each other, which is always good. Let's off that brush. Now, I don't like how it's got the jagged line underneath. And that kind of comes from being, one, impatient and not allowing that bottom section to dry enough. So just alternating between cleaning my brush off of the pigment that I've picked up, putting water in. Because that first layer is quite dry now, I'm not able to lift up a lot of that colour. Sadly, because I'm impatient. That's okay, that's okay. So the parts closest to you are always going to be the darkest, but I still want that hint of that bright blue, which I'll try and keep there. So now I'll go in. It's only very quick, like this didn't take us long at all. But I'm also not being as, what's the word? Not detailed, that's the word. I'm not being as detailed as I normally would be. If you are a regular viewer and have visited the website, you'll see that the miniatures on there, they're quite detailed. So I do spend quite a bit of time trying to get those ones right. But when it comes to practice, that's the good thing about practice. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but it's very valuable. That's a little hard to see. Let me just take that off. You can see that the gold definitely does, it's quite subtle, but it's got this beautiful shine to it. And that's what I kind of like about working with this gold paint, is that you don't need a lot for it to make a difference. And it's fun to play with. Like I've said over and over again that these landscapes are the most boring for me to do, and it's true. They are boring. This is the best bit. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect. I just find that the tape just frames things in a way that's just good. I'm going to do another one down here. I'm using the same tape. Like, this is my sketchbook. If things don't go right, it's okay. Like, it's completely fine. Nothing bad is going to happen. So put that there. Oh, and this there. Sides are a bit wonky, but that's okay. That is okay. Boom. Nope, that's my tummy. Okay, I am going to paint. What color should I paint? If you're watching, tell me now. I've got a blue, I've got a pink, I've got an earthy color, I've got green. What color? What color? What color? What color? I'm finding this is where I'm getting stuck at the moment. Like, I'm not pushing myself when it comes to color, just because like these color palettes is my go-to, and so I'm not kind of going out of the box with it, which I need to be a little bit more proactive in that regard. So maybe I can try purple. Shall I try purple? I don't know. I'm going to wet the page first. See, pink and purple, they're just not my colours in real life. I just don't wear them. I don't like them. Especially like the Barbie pink, it just doesn't work. So I'm definitely more of a stronger palette, stronger colour person. Let's try this. I'm definitely just having a play here. There's no kind of plan at this stage. But I do know that this pink and this purple work well together. Bring that down there. And just because of the way the color wheel is set up, yellow and purple also work well together. So I'm just playing with those colors at the moment for like a swept sky feel. Overworking it, I can tell. Okay, and let's go down to the mountain range down the bottom, see what we can come up with. So I just picked up like a teal color because that kind of teal blue works well with this color palette. It's kind of a bit bright, a bit poppy. Because the paper underneath was wet, that is feathered quite nicely actually, so I'm just going to encourage that a little more and give the illusion of a tree line on the ridge. Just like that. And with that teal colour, I'm going to go in with a bit of a darker mix. Just go over the top of that. A bit of purple just to reflect that purple in the sky, just a tad. Same kind of thing. rinse off my brush, get some clean water, take as much of the excess off, and then I'm going to pull it through here and pick up some of the paint that I've already put down, wipe off the excess on my paper towel. That is looking good. Kind of got that kind of very earthy feel about it. I'm just going to rinse off my brush. There's some extra paint that's kind of pooled in a strange way in the sky, and I'm just going to see if I can tease that out a little bit. I'm not sure if I can. What I will do is I will go over with gold or silver. So I'm going to do a mixture of Prussian blue and phthalo blue. So that would be PB27 and PB15, because I want kind of that nice teal coloured. And I'm also going to get some cobalt turquoise light, which is a green pigment, but it does throw a turquoise, so it's PG50. That particular pigment is a lot thicker than traditional, well, it is a traditional watercolor, but just because of the composition of it. So it's going to have quite an opaque feel to it. And just put in a mountain range in there. Take some of that color. Good. These are fun to do. It's little sketchbook experiments. I'm going to leave that one as it is. I'm going to pick up some more of the Prussian blue, so that's PB27. And because of it's quite dark, I'm just going to pull it across the bottom. Let's give some definition there. Alright, and let's go in with our darkest colour. So some of the best memories have been literally sitting by the lake and just watching the sun go down or something like that. So I'm just popping some silver on this. So I'm not going gold with this one. When I first got this silver, I did not like it. I have grown to love it because it's quite cool. It's got like quite the shimmer in it. And it does layer over watercolor very, very well. So it's kind of hard to see. In some angles of the camera you'll be able to see it, like definitely you can see the sparkle. So just because that layer underneath is quite dry, this is taking the sparkle quite well. And it's not really moving any of the paint underneath, which is exactly what we want. It's just sparkle, 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 sparkle town. That's actually cute. Look at the sparkle in that. Just delightful. That went better than expected. Very nice. This one is peel there. And this way. Yeah, that's cute. They are cute. So I did those two today. So hopefully, yeah, they're just good practice, and they're good to try and get an idea of, you know, when I do my tinies, the tiny treasures in the future, like what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? What's going to be the process? And I kind of can get like color ideas. Like I said, I'm often stuck for colors, but this one worked really well. So I know I might use that combination in a tiny treasure in the future. But I've been missing doing my indigos actually, so I might just do a long one up the top here, which is very, what's the word, dramatic feel. So we'll try and make it very moody, very misty. So where I'm from in Australia, Australia is known as the sunburnt country. But in Tasmania, it has a very different climate, surprisingly different to the rest of the country. Other places do get quite cold, that is true, especially if you're inland, if you're in the skiing areas and up on the highlands and stuff like that. But Tasmania in general, it's a lot lower in the southern hemisphere, so I think a lot of the Antarctic expeditions leave from Hobart, the capital city, because it's the kind of the next point of call before Antarctica. So you can just imagine, like, we do get penguins, so there is quite, it's a beautiful climate, but it is quite different to the rest of Australia. So it's interesting because the landscapes kind of came about after living there, which you kind of feel like unconsciously I was like painting the surroundings, I guess. So starting again with the same kind of, what's the word, base, going in with my tissues. They've worked out well, haven't they? Wow, that worked out better than expected. Except my clouds. Let's go and fill some of them in with a little bit more, what's the word, depth. Let's give them some depth. Not too much because it's in the sky, so we don't want it too dark, but clouds do have shadows, so let's play with that idea. Let's fade out some of those edges. Keep some sharp ones. Ta-da! Quite like that. Already, I quite like it. I'm going to pick up some of the white here. I left it a little bit too late, to be honest, didn't I? That's okay. think because it's a wider composition, I can get away with having a quite large mountain range as opposed to the smaller ones. So every time I pick up the paint underneath here, I'm wiping the excess off on this paper towel. That way I don't cross-contaminate and don't put paint back down where it shouldn't go. Okay, it's only a quick one, this one. It's still wet there, so I'm getting some nice feathering. There's a lot of pigment on my brush at the moment, so it's going down quite thickly, almost acrylic-like. And I started out painting with acrylics, and I think that's kind of my approach to watercolor. I just I try and lay it on quite thickly, which I quite like. But sometimes you miss out on the benefits of like the properties of watercolor and how it just can really take a mind of its own and be really pretty with the bleeds and the lack of control. So that's probably something that I can work on again this year, just to try and let go of some of that water control a bit more and see if I can see what it creates. I'm just going underneath with a very hard, like dark line. And it's that dark and light play that really can bring a landscape together. It's having the darks dark and your lights light that really helps to give it a bit of form and a bit of structure. I'm going to go in with my gold again. So because it's a handmade gold, it takes quite a long time to get activated. So I'm finding I'm having to dip my brush in, take it out, dip it in, take it out. So that's great for a relatively quick painting session. I was able to get some practice. Again, practice makes perfect. Practice, practice, practice. Oops, got all that on my desk. Now for the best part, peel the tape. Some of the light of the camera, you can really see that gold kind of shining. That's really cool. Yeah, that really works really well. So you'll be able to see that shine. It really pops really nicely. I think my favorite has ended up being this one. That is such a surprise. I'll tell you what, it's that sparkle, I'm telling you. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.